Hello and welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about diet and what to eat. So, first of all, does diet matter? Absolutely. Diet plays the most important part in your overall health, whether you're trying to lose weight, gain weight, build muscle, tone, whatever you're trying to do, diet plays the biggest part by far. But first, I would say you need to establish what your goal is. What is it you're trying to do? Are you trying to just maintain? Maybe you're at a healthy weight. You don't have high blood pressure, high blood sugar, anything like that, and you just want to maintain. Awesome. Are you trying to lose weight? Maybe you're looking to just lose a little bit of weight, maybe a lot of weight, I don't know. Or are you trying to build muscle? And I ask that because all of those are going to require different diets. No matter what you're trying to do, there will be a different diet that you should probably be on or be doing. And I don't want you to think about diet as a short-term phase or fad um, type of thing. Think of it as a lifestyle choice. It needs to be something that you can maintain for the long haul, not something that, well, I'm going to try this for 2 weeks and then I'm going to go back to Taco Bell and pizzas. It's not going to work. You know, whatever changes you're trying to do are not going to be long lasting. And ultimately, that fuels other things like anxiety and depression and things like that. So we're looking for overall health, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually. Um, so diet has to be on a high, if not number one, on the priority list for what you're starting. Okay, but first you got to have a goal. So give you some examples. If you are somebody who's trying to lose weight and you go to the gym sometimes, right? Like maybe 2 or 3 times a week, or maybe you walk around your neighborhood, maybe you're active in like sports with your kids, or you have a dog that you take to the dog park, things like that, right? So if you're moderately active and you want to lose weight, but you're having trouble, my recommendation would be to lower your calories slightly. I would say no matter what plan you're on, do everything incrementally. Do just a little bit at a time. You don't want to go too far one way or the other. So for this example, let's say um, that you're eating, 3 times a day, like the recommended thing: breakfast, lunch, dinner. You have a good sized dinner, and you go to bed shortly after. I would not put a bunch of carbs like spaghetti. Shouldn't be having spaghetti for dinner if you're going to sleep 30 minutes later, right? It's no good. Your body doesn't have anywhere to use those carbs that you just intook, or any of the extra calories for that matter, and it's going to end up storing them as fat. You want to have, again, in my opinion, a lower amount of calories and especially of carbs later in the day. Um, your body doesn't need additional fuel when you're sleeping. So, because you're not active. Uh, so if you're trying to lose weight, you're moderately active, I would start with removing some of the extra carbs. So maybe don't do as much of the pastas or potatoes, some of the more complex carbohydrates that are a little bit harder for your body to actually break down, absorb, and use as energy. If you want to do rice, you could do rice. Whole grain pasta, again, not a bad option. I would still limit the amount that you're using though. Um, Things like that. And I personally have swapped like white or regular potatoes for sweet potatoes, and I'll get into that in just a minute. Um, but carbohydrates basically are your fuel. Let's just keep it simple. They provide your body with the energy needed to perform, whether that's at the gym, taking your dog to the park, staying active with your kids, Carbohydrates at a very basic kind of level provide your body with fuel or energy to do those type of activities. If you're not very active, you don't need a lot of fuel. I mean, that's the short of it. If you're not doing a whole lot of those activities, if you do a lot of movies, or maybe you don't have a dog, maybe you don't have kids, those things aren't a part of your day-to-day thing, and maybe your job is behind a desk, so you're not super active at work either, you don't need a lot of carbs. You could definitely be on more of a high protein, um, and like vegetables, fruits, things like that. You will get carbs from your fruits and vegetables. And more than likely, if you're in that kind of day to day routine, that will provide you with probably more than enough carbs than you're going to need. So, a lot of it is just going to depend, though, on what your day to day looks like and ultimately what your goal is for yourself. So, you do have a difference, though, between good carbs and bad carbs. Unfortunately, carbs aren't all created equally. So, good carbs, again, just somewhat basic. I don't want to get too much into the science behind it. Good carbs are high in fiber, usually going to be from a whole food, not something that's overly processed. So, a good example would be potatoes. Um, so, whole potato without all the sour cream, butter, bacon, extra stuff to make it like a loaded potato, while that may taste good, you've ruined just about everything healthy that was with that potato originally. So, um, potato by itself, good carb. Bad carb would be potato chip, right? Potato chips are fried, generally, covered in salt, and they've taken out just about all of the nutrients from the potato at that point. So you're pretty much just eating fat and salt, which neither of which are good. So while it still has potato in the name, it is not the same thing. So that would just be a quick example of a good carb versus a bad carb, right? I also want to stress that you cannot outwork a bad diet. So no matter how many hours you put in the gym or how many miles you run, you cannot eat pizzas and cookies and then go run a marathon and feel great. It's just not going to happen. Um, you know, uh, your body doesn't work that way. It needs proper nutrition to be healthy and maintained well, right? One salad doesn't cure the last 5 bad meals you've had. Doesn't work that way, unfortunately. Um, so some other good carbs or other good sources of energy would be, like I said, sweet potatoes, brown rice, beans, lentils, nuts, things like that. Whole grain products, so like whole grain pasta would be good. Some bad carbs would be bread, white potatoes, corn, cereal, candies, anything with a lot of sugar, or just sugar in general. You shouldn't be adding additional sugar to your food, in my opinion. Potato chips, like I mentioned earlier, all of those are not great sources of carbs, mostly because they're overly refined and processed. A lot of chemicals are added, preservatives are added so that they can have a longer shelf life, things like that. Even like lunch meat, while you think, well, it's just meat, but it's overly processed. Getting sliced deli meat in a package at the grocery store is not the same as the chicken breast that's right around the corner in the same building. You know what I mean? Two totally different foods, almost like the potato and potato chip example I gave a little while ago. You don't want to have anything that's overly refined, overly processed. Nothing that says instant on the package. So if it's instant, that's not good. Don't do that. And I know you're probably thinking, well, I have a really busy life. I got, kids. I've got my job. I've got, the pets that I mentioned earlier, things like that. I totally get all of those things, and we'll get into that. So, with meal prep, as I've mentioned, diet is the biggest um, portion of your overall health. So it needs to be the thing that you dedicate the most amount of time to. If you say, well, I don't have time to meal prep, but you're still going to the gym, cut out one of your gym days. I mean, cut it out. So instead of driving to the gym, maybe 15 minutes there, you spent 30, 45 minutes at the gym, and then another 15 minutes back. That's an hour, more than an hour. Take that hour and meal prep. That hour of meal prepping is going to do you a lot more um, good than that hour that you would have spent going to the gym. So, what I like to do, and what makes it a little bit easier for me, because you don't want to make it overly complicated. You don't want to be prepping one meal at a time every day. Um, is to do things in batches or like in bulk. Now, of course, this is going to depend on your level of cooking capabilities, as well as the facility or the home, wherever you're at, what kind of storage limitations you may or may not have. So, what I like to do is I'll grab, for example, a pack of chicken breasts, like a family size pack, which I don't know, comes with like 8 or 10 chicken breasts, depending on how big they are. Um, I'll cook them all, right? Same time, same day. Um, Maybe in batches. I don't have a pan quite that big, but do a couple batches. Use some for maybe like just regular chicken breast with sweet potato and broccoli, right? Maybe do 3 to 4 meals like that. Boom. Okay, those are set aside. With the other chicken breasts, maybe you cut them up, right? Use some in a rice and vegetable stir fry, right? I would avoid adding a lot of extra like soy sauce and some of those other things that make stir fry good. They're high in salt. You want to watch that, but something like that. And then with the remaining chicken, maybe you can do like a whole grain pasta, like a chicken Alfredo, right? You've already cooked broccoli for that first meal that I mentioned. Save some of the broccoli aside. Do whole grain pasta. You've got the chicken, you've got the broccoli, add a little Alfredo, you're good to go. That's 3 meals, 3 different types of meals, but you've created 10 meals in a short amount of time. Don't make it hard on yourself. If you're somebody who can eat the same thing again and again and again, back to back, kudos to you. I'm definitely not that person. But if you are, then it's even easier. You could do like a big crock pot of something or a big pot of something and have access. You'll have additional food. You don't have to do like options or variations like I just mentioned. You could do just one giant meal that lasts you several days. If you're the type of person that can do that. For a lot of people, that becomes boring. People like variety. So that's why I do the way I just mentioned. That is the way that I do it. But so that's just a basic overview of diet and carbs. We'll be doing a few more videos like this, going over different nutritional aspects of the working out routines, because diet is a huge part, as I mentioned. But first, set that goal, then determine what kind of diet plan you want to be on, and remember to just do little steps at a time. Don't try to be too drastic. Whether you're adding, subtracting, whatever you're doing, I would just strongly encourage to take little steps, and your body will tell you, hey, I need a little bit more food, right? If you're starving or you're hungry all the time, you know that you may need to add a little bit more. Or if you're not, then you may need to not eat so much. If you're finding that you get too lunchtime and you're not hungry, you may have had too much earlier in the day, right? Just as an example. But anyway, I will see you in the next video. I appreciate you taking the time. Y'all have a blessed day.